Even though the voter replacement plan implemented by the Joe Biden administration has been thwarted by Donald Trump, you still have Democrats like Representative Jayapal saying, hey, all of these people are a net benefit to our country. But of course, what we see today is Representative Wesley Hunt reminding her that, yeah, that's not so much the case. But before we get to these clips, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe on this video so we can get to the algorithms. Here we go.
These are not the worst of the worst that Trump claimed he'd go after, and yet this administration is well on its way to stripping the lawful status of over 1 million people by early next year. Mr. Williams, very powerful testimony, thank you. TPS recipients work in a variety of sectors experiencing workforce shortages, including childcare and construction. And as the president of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, can you discuss the impact that the TPS terminations are having on the work sites where your union members work and on the broader economy?
Our members never looked at those brothers and sisters that they worked side by side with in some very dangerous working conditions as people that were considered here unlawfully. And the safety issues that can take place when you remove that many workers that have been trained and highly skilled to work on things like painting bridges, hanging off the side of buildings. You rely on one another. In our industry, you already are seeing the fear over who are you going to work with side by side that you can trust. The person you worked with for the last 15 years or somebody brand new in the industry.
As of today, roughly 1.5 million people in the U.S. have temporary protected status. Most of these TPS recipients entered the U.S. during the Biden-Harris administration. They permitted millions of undocumented individuals to enter our country under the pretense of quote-unquote protection. What was once intended to temporarily help those who live in the countries that are in ongoing armed conflicts, serious natural disasters, or if aliens returning to their country of origin is not in the interest of the United States, has now become a way for Democrats to import their own voters, as we have seen for the past 4 years. Nearly 725,000 TPS illegal migrants entered the country during the Biden-Harris administration, often with little to no information provided about their reasons for entry. Illegals from Haiti, Venezuela, Afghanistan, Sudan, Nicaragua, and El Salvador. Many of these criminal aliens have claimed American lives. Innocent victims such as Lincoln Riley, Jocelyn Nungery, Rachel Morin, and Nathaniel Baker. This must and it will stop and has stopped under the current administration. The Trump administration has made remarkable progress, reaching its 7th consecutive months without illegal border crossings, the fewest that we have seen in the modern history of this great nation. Congress needs to act to make sure criminals, gang members, cartels, and terrorists never set foot on American soil. And as somebody that served and fought in combat for this great nation, that's exactly why I serve this country, and that's exactly why I continue to serve in the halls of Congress to continue to protect my fellow Americans. Mr. Shalosky, thank you for being here, sir. In your testimony, you stated that many residents in your town have serious concerns about housing capacity, safety resources, school support, and healthcare resources. You also made it clear that your city did not sign up to be used as a test subject.
All this has caused is a lot of division and a lot of hate. Sorry to say that. I feel that from the federal government to the state government, if this would have been handled more professionally, I think everyone at the table in our small community could have came up with a good solution. But being that we weren't permitted to be involved and they dumped these immigrants into our community, and again, I have compassion for them too. They're human beings, as I stated. But this went over and above something that should have been placed in a small town such as Charleroy, Pennsylvania.
Are you xenophobic? Are you racist? Are you xenophobic? Do you hate immigrants? Do you hate people that come to this country looking for a better way of life? Do you hate them, or? Sir,
I have 3 biracial grandchildren who I love.
Well, I'll be damned. So this is literally about keeping your community safe and literally about what it means to be an American regardless of the way you look. It's about taking care of our citizens. Would you agree with that assessment, sir?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for your passion. I really, really appreciate that. I got a minute left, and I want to end with this. Under the Biden administration, our country was invaded by illegal immigrants, period. It was an invasion. Over 20 million people entered this country illegally, which is completely unacceptable. And now the Trump administration has taken decisive action to clean this mess up and to make sure that we don't ever see anything like we saw for the past 4 years again. President Trump got reelected in large part because of what happened at our southern border. And as a Texan, as somebody that bore the brunt of a lot of these issues and a lot of these problems during the Biden administration, I'm here to tell you that I'm utterly disgusted at what I saw. And no, I am not racist, and no, I am not xenophobic. I'm a person that's want to die for my country, and I'm a person that fought for my country in combat. And I want everyone to know this, that Americans need to be the top priority in our country. Every other country in the world operates like that, and so should we.
So I find the testimony of Mr. Chalaski there rather interesting because he's from a small town in Pennsylvania called Tulare, and they have about 4,000 residents. And what the Joe Biden administration did is take 2,000 recipients of TPS and dump them there. Right? Did they have jobs? Did they have transportation? Are there services? No, there's not. And the whole community has descended into madness as a result. You have daily car crashes from immigrants who don't have licenses, who don't have insurance, who are plowing into buildings and other vehicles. All right? People are being injured, and the whole community has descended into chaos. But of course, when you hear people like the union head, Mr. Williams, over there saying, hey, we have to have these TPS recipients because we spent a lot of time training all of them to give them jobs. Okay, as if there aren't American citizens who could also be trained and have those jobs, right? But never mind any of that. Let's talk about this whole TPS thing and why it matters, okay? Joe Biden let in over 1 million people and granted them TPS status. And by the way, ever since the start of the TPS program, 70% of them were actually given that status by Joe Biden. And even though the T in TPS is supposed to stand for temporary, places like Somalia have been on this list since 1991. However, a lot of the people actually granted TPS came into this country illegally from Somalia, from Haiti, from Venezuela. And then what did Joe Biden do? Oh, since they didn't qualify for asylum, he just said, oh, TPS now. You're all got the temporary protected status. And that, of course, is what Donald Trump is doing away with. But of course, the key here is the blanket designation that was given by Joe Biden, right? Because during his tenure, during that 4 years, there were 13,000 immigrants convicted of homicide living outside of our immigration detention in the U.S., right? This is according to ICE, all right? 13,000 people convicted of homicide that we knew of, and yet we're not detained, we're not deported, are just free roaming around our country. And when they're found and arrested for further crimes they've committed, you have places like New York City, who is a sanctuary city, by the way, just releasing them, right? Chilling new details emerge about killer migrants responsible for 29 homicides sprung from New York jails instead of being handed off to ICE. And this story is from December 2025. You have all these individuals who have committed some of the worst crimes possible released back into the public because of the bleeding heart Democrats and their sanctuary city policies. All right. And now, why does this matter? What's the connection? Because you have this guy right here, one of the few that committed many of these crimes, released back out into the public. And his name is William Alexander Paredes Vasquez. How many names do you need? And guess what? He is a TPS recipient. And he is one of the people who was released back out into the public. And he's one of the people who shouldn't be in this country in the first place. So this whole program of TPS has basically been used as blanket amnesty and needs to be done away with, right? Why do we need to have this when we already have refugee laws that basically are accepted by the entire world? You go to the closest nation that is safe. You don't fly halfway across the world to this one and then stay here indefinitely with no intention to return. But of course, none of this really matters to people like Representative Jayapal, who want every single person who's come into this country, no matter what they've done, to stay here. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me.